Welcome to a brand new episode of Undisputed Anime. This is the podcast where we like to give you recommendations of not only new series, maybe sometimes old series, as well as manga, manhwa. And today we're going to touch on video games. So buckle in. I'm your host, Zane Taicho, your captain of recommendations. And as always, I'm joined by the man of 100 manga and manhwa, Susu Day. How are you?
I am sans ring light right now, and I really feel like I'd benefit from having ring light right now. the lighting in this room is not ideal. It's very sunny outside. Those aren't blackout blinds. so I feel like the lighting of my screen is not great right now.
Oh, mate. Oh, saying that, I did my first ever, this is going to sound crazy, TikTok shop purchase. It's one of those deals that just sounded too good to be true, and probably is. But I purchased 2 softbox light thingies for like about 12 quid. So I'm kind of I'm kind of excited, but also I'm kind of trying to lower my expectations.
Is it like ordering off wish.com?
Dare I say I'm getting that vibe? Because they're originally priced at like £40, but use like all these different vouchers, and it drops it down to about 12 quid.
They were aiming high when they're trying to make you feel like it was worth more money than it actually was.
From my own research, I've seen on Amazon, like they are kind of that sort of ballpark figure just for one. So it's it's that thing of like, you're getting such a great deal. Why would you miss out? Sort of, you know what I mean?
That's how the algorithm gets you. They know what you need.
Yeah, this is it. So I'll let
you
know
talk around your computer.
Those cookies will get you. I'll let you know how they work out.
Please do. I might have to invest.
How are you, by the way? Like,
not too bad. It's Easter weekend, and I know that after some conversations with some of my dear American friends, that they do not get all the slew of time off that we get in the UK for Easter.
Maybe.
So that my American friends didn't get Friday off. They don't get today off.
Oh man!
They just have Sunday, and Sunday's already a Sunday. So
that's a shame.
Yeah, but chocolate. My daughter's away, so stress free. She's in Scotland.
I've had a lot of afternoon teas. It's a very British thing to do. Like,
love an afternoon tea. Well, I mean, you know me, I'm 100% tea 100% of the time. Chin chin.
Chin chin. Yeah, so it's like Friday had afternoon tea with some scones and jam and cream. So that was nice. I saw the Mario movie yesterday.
I hear that it has exceeded all expectation. I hear that it's one of those films where everyone's been like, every video game adaptation has been garbage. And now Mario comes out and they're like, okay, it can be done. It can be done.
It really can. The level of attention and love given to this, you can feel the passion in this film, because like every little thing has an Easter egg, from the original Mario voice actor having cameos in the movie to, spoiler warning, Luigi's ringtone is the GameCube like
amazing.
That's his ringtone, which is fantastic.
Incredible. I love it. And I mean, to be honest, like my favorite choice in cast member is by far, I've not seen it yet, but seeing the way that Jack Black has taken ownership of Bowser in every single facet of his life has been pretty magical to see. Like that man has really understood the assignment when it comes to
and he's very Jack Black, the kind of performance, if you know what I mean. Like, say what you will about School of Rock and Pick a Destiny. Like, if you love that type of Jap Black, then expect it here because it works so well. It just works really well for him.
And how is Chris as Mario? Because I think that one of the biggest skepticisms a lot of people have is the fact that they cast Chris Pratt as Mario, and a lot of people are like, he's not even Italian. So is he going to be doing the very stereotypical Mario voice?
Yeah. So again, this is kind of spoilers. They kind of make a pun out of it because you may have seen the Super Mario Brothers plumbing advert that's on YouTube and stuff. And in the advert, he puts on the accent, but when he's everyday Mario, he doesn't have the accent. So he like hams it up for the delivery.
It's the brands.
It's all about the brand. Yeah. So the whole reason, and their family mocks them for having, plumbers with white gloves and, colored overalls and stuff. And they're like, it's about brand awareness. Like we're trying to.
We're trying to run a business here.
Yeah.
Incredible. So, I'll have to stop and see it myself because it does seem like it's worth seeing. Everyone I've spoken to about it has really enjoyed it. So
it's really fun. It's really, really fun. The action's great. It's definitely worth the watch. I'd like to thank the sponsor of today's video, Surfshark VPN, who have given me, now get this, 83% off plus 3 months free. So if you've been meaning to pick up a VPN, now might be the time. Surfshark is a trusted VPN to help you protect your privacy online. Whether that's protecting yourself from malicious websites or if you're in a public Wi-Fi connection, you can keep your information locked down. Surfshark's clean web feature blocks ads, trackers, malware, and phishing attempts, allowing you to surf the web safely. Plus, it lets you change your virtual location. So if there's an anime on Netflix that's not available in your country, but say in Japan, guess what? You're in Japan now. You want to use BBC iPlayer to watch all of Doctor Who. So pick up Surfshark using the link in the description down below and use the code Undisputed Anime and you'll get 83% off and 3 months free. Check it out. I guess, should we get into some anime talk?
Yeah, anime talk.
Yeah.
Set the pace. Spin me a yarn. Tell me what it is.
Okay, so we're going to do our usual anime news, and then we'll talk about some JRPGs that we think are some great ones for beginners. Like if you've never played a Japanese role-playing game, we're going to talk about some articles that are floating around, and I guess we're just going to cherry pick some great ones, right?
Yeah, I think that sounds like a good thing to do. I will warn you now, though, I don't think that there is really any JRPG that is perfect for beginners. I think a lot of them are very, you just go in at the deep end and you've got to swim or you die.
Hey, yeah, this is it. We're going to try and make a list for everyone, I guess. There's some that may be deep cuts, but I think they're worth at least having a taster. Yeah. First things first, let me pop this up on screen.
Gasp.
Congratulations, we've hit 3,000 downloads. If you have listened to us from the beginning, if you've listened to us on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, wherever it may be you get your podcast, thank you so much for listening to us and downloading our episodes. It's a huge, huge milestone, and we appreciate all the views and downloads. It's a huge achievement for us. So thank you very much.
Thank you. And I think that the most of that praise should go to Zane, who this show is his baby. He's the brain power behind it. I just show up on the day and just do it on the night,
Too kind.
One time he said, "Hey, would it kill you to do some editing for me?" And I was like, "No, that's not why I'm on the show."
There we are. Sets a benchmark.
I'm the show's resident diva. That's why I wouldn't have even been on the show today if he hadn't like sent me the like fruit basket.
So again, thank you so much to everyone. It's a huge milestone, and yeah, hopefully we can carry on delivering great content for you guys. I think we may have talked about this already. I know we certainly have off stream, but Solo Leveling gets a spin-off series focusing on the MC's son. How do you feel about this? Because you're the big Solo Leveling guy here.
So to be honest, when Solo Leveling finished, I was like, this was a great place to finish. It was a great ending. It doesn't need to be anything more. Then the author died, and there was talk about how other people who had worked on it were gonna release further chapters to say what happened afterwards. And I was a bit skeptical at the time because I was like, how good is it going to be without the vision of the original author?
Was it the author or the artist?
I don't recall.
Someone did pass though. You're right. I remember that.
But I did think how good is it gonna be to continue? Like, you know, sometimes people see how successful something is, and they're like, okay, let's milk this for a little bit longer. Yeah. But I've been reading the bonus chapters week on week, and they've all been excellent. It's been amazing to see how the main character continues life after everything that happened, and you also get to see how all the other characters go on with their lives, because obviously, spoiler alert, like, he goes back in time and stops everything from happening before it happens, and he's the only one who remembers. So you get to see what would have become of every other character if it had never happened. And then some people do come to remember him and what he did. And his son is slowly introduced in the most recent chapters. You see him as as a baby and as a toddler. And then at the end of the last chapter, it showed his son, a teenager now, going into a school. So it is really good. I think I'm going to say spoiler alert because I think it's like contextually, I think it'll set up the like new story very well. Is that it becomes apparent to him that his son has inherited all his powers, so he can see the shadow soldiers, and he's friends with the shadow soldiers. The shadow soldiers look after him. Like they take care of him, and the shadow soldiers love him, and they idolize him, and they just want the best for him. But it becomes very clear to his mother that him having the shadow soldiers as friends is affecting his real life interactions with children, because they're apparently children are very perceptive to magic. So they can sense that he's got this like colossal amount of magic, and they stay away from him. They're scared of him. And all of his, whenever he's asked to do an art project at school, he's incredible at art. But all his art is like me and my friends or me and my family. It'll show his mum and his dad, and it'll show all these like dark, scary figures all standing around him. And his teacher's getting worried as well. So main character decides, I'm gonna wipe his memory of all of this until he's old enough to be able to control this power.
Okay.
So, and that's how, and then the next frames are showing him walking into school. So he's got no knowledge of anything.
That's crazy.
So it's going to be, I'm interested to see what they're going to do with it, because they basically can start him afresh.
Yeah. Ooh, I like this.
Not starting off like the most powerful person in the world straight away. I imagine he has to very slowly learn how to use his powers.
Put a little scaling in there. I like it.
Yeah. So I think it's going to be good. I'm excited for it. I've been really impressed with what they've done. So.
Is it weird? I had this thought the other day when I saw this news that it's going to sound horrible, I guess. We're at an age now where most of the MCs are fathers. I'm thinking your Ichigos, your Narutos. Like when when we first started reading this, we were the plucky 14-year-olds and
And now
16-year-olds. Now their stories are getting passed on to their kids and stuff, and I'm kind of like, this is really moving on to a new generation of audience now. Like,
yeah,
I don't mind
I do
it,
like
but
seeing it. I
yeah,
like seeing characters grow up and not
me
stay the
too.
same. I think generally I love Pokemon, and I've
Hmm.
loved Pokemon since I was a kid. But my biggest gripe with Pokemon is that Ash has never grown at all.
Yeah, yeah,
And I think that there was so much opportunity to show him growing up, not like like perfect timescale,
no,
but wouldn't it have been great to see like Ash be like a teenager,
mm,
like just to have like a growth, like to go away after one series at the start of like, I don't know, at the start of X and Y, he comes back and he's like taller and
yeah,
like something's changed about him, like make Pikachu look a little bit older as well. Like
yeah, yeah.
everything has just remained the same to the point where it's like it kind of seems like everything that happened on Ash and Pikachu's journey happened in the space of like 2 years, and
Have-
that's not the
ju-
case.
yeah, you're right, because it's, I think the one of the creators said that it was supposed to be over the space of one summer. Like, it's supposed to be a summer, a lifetime full of, one amazing summer of adventure. It just so happens that one summer has stretched out for 20 years. Um,
There is absolutely no way that he could have achieved all of that in a summer.
yeah, there's people who've done deep dives and they've calculated, because there's episodes that have night to day transitions. So there's people that have calculated the days and stuff. But yeah,
Yeah.
it's a crazy idea, isn't it?
But
Like, it's
it's a missed opportunity because like even like I
mm,
think that's what Digimon did really well. Is
yeah,
like you
yeah,
had the original Digidestined, and then you had the new generation Digidestined, but the old generation was still there, but they were adults or old, they teenagers and stuff like that
yeah,
and stuff. And it's kind of like that's great because you get to see how time has passed.
yeah.
So
Absolutely. Their roles were kind of scaled back, but they still had a great, you know, part to play in the grand
yeah,
scheme
as
of
like
things as well,
mentors
didn't
and
they?
stuff. And I think
Yeah.
that what really worked well for that vision as well is the fact that because Kyrie and TK were so young in
Mm,
the first adventure, they were the same age as the new generation
yeah.
when the like second gen came along. So
Mm,
they were still main characters, which was cool
yeah.
because then you've got a link to the originals.
And that audience, yeah, still
Yeah,
carry on watching.
yeah.
100%. 100%.
God, here
Um,
we go. We're showing our age, is what we're doing. Let's move along.
let's. So a series, I don't think I've read this, and feel free to jump in if you have. But Windbreaker is officially getting its own series. There's a ton of news, by the way, that came out last weekend. There was quite a lot of, I think there was like an anime convention in Japan. So like Mappa had announcements and things of that nature. But yeah, Windbreaker officially been announced.
Oh, it's another webtoon.
Oh, is it a webtoon series?
Is it? I'm just trying to work it out now. I'm just trying to establish of because I'm sure that there was one called The Breaker, which was a manga that was on my list for a long time. I'm trying to.
So
No, maybe
you,
this is something different.
yeah.
Maybe this is
Um,
something different.
This is being produced by Cloverworks, so huge W all around, I think, because Cloverworks is a great studio. I've definitely seen this around. I recognize the character in the cover. Um, it is a webtoon series. You're right.
Yeah,
Uh,
I'm just trying to establish where because it is also a manga.
yeah, it's a popular sports themed webtoon series that has gained a significant following since its debut in 2016. The series combines elements of drama, romance, and a slice of life storytelling with an intense focus on cycling and competitive world of professional racing.
Yeah, I'm getting mixed messages, to be fair. Because like the synopsis on my anime list is Haruka Sakura wants nothing to do with weaklings. He's only interested in the strongest of the strong. He's just started Furin High School, a school of degenerates known for their brawling strength. So this is a different story to the one that the other the web comic is about, like cycling, like competitive cycling. Whereas it seems like this is, I don't know. It doesn't say in the synopsis.
We shall fact check and come back to this one.
Yeah, I think we might have to.
We'll do the research. In other news, I'm interested to see your thoughts on this. So, a veteran author claims isekai genre has become too repetitive. Too repetitive.
Would you like my honest opinion?
Go ahead.
I agree.
Yeah.
I think that I like you. I love the isekai genre, but it's oversaturated right now. It's like there are more isekai right now that seem to be they all follow the same. It's like, you know, when we were talking about manhwa the other week, and I was basically saying that like all the manhwa that I read are basically the exact same plot with slight differences. That's what the isekai genre is. And I love so many isekai stories, but I think that we have become a bit oversaturated with it, and that's probably why there's a lot of anime purists out there that dislike isekai so much. So
yeah, it's like you said, almost every year there's more and more isekai. And you know, again, the two of us, we've been big fans of the genre. We think there's definitely some gems in there. But I guess similar to this author, Nakamura Usagi, if I've pronounced that correctly, the author of the light novel Gokudo Kun, expressed the concerns that the current state of isekai genre. She argued that the widespread trend of isekai stories focusing on a protagonist who gains incredible powers and forms a harem has become repetitive and lack originality.
it does.
It does. There's some that have really, I feel like, redefined it in so many ways, like Jobless Reincarnation has redefined it, but it does have those elements in there. There's no sugarcoating it.
Yeah, it's like I still like it a lot, and I'm going to continue to enjoy isekai, but I think that and I think that the reason why it's so used is because it's such an easy format to write for. And I'm not suggesting writing itself is a good story is easy, by no means, but like isekai gives you an avenue to set a relatable to the reader character up in a completely new space where you don't have to explain, and you don't really have to explain anything. You just need to throw them into another world, and they have X power because they're from another world, and it's kind of like it kind of gives them a lot of plot. It gives them a lot of plot armor. And it makes it a much harder to kind of scrutinize the areas of the story that are weaker. It's like, oh well, things are different in this world. Like it also gives a way to address a lot of more problematic themes, because it's like this is happening in a different world. Things are different here, you know.
Yeah.
But I think a lot of people like reading isekai because it's nice to see and I guess that this is like a representation thing, and this is representation of the very weakest side of it, by the way. Like this is by no means the kind of reputation that like I think that we need more of in a lot of media. But I think the reason why isekai becomes so popular is because you're basically taking a main character who is always a weak young man, usually, who goes on to become a hero or savior of a world, and has all this attention that they never got in their original world.
Yeah.
And I think that resonates a lot with readers, because who hasn't felt like powerless in the current world we live in and stuff. So
100%.
to imagine that you could wake up one day and be in like another world where everyone's relying on you, like nothing can defeat you,
Absolutely, yeah. It's the classic chosen one formula. It's like you said, it's self-inserting fantasy. Yeah. Who wouldn't want to be the key bearer? So yeah, I completely agree with you there. And as again, we're big fans of the genre. There's hundreds I could think of that I'd absolutely love.
I drew the I think where I drew the line
Mm.
was when we talked about the reincarnated as a vending machine in a dungeon. I think that's the point where in my head I went, maybe we've gone too far now. Maybe the genre needs to be. We need to step back from the genre a little bit and try something else.
Felt like one of those scientists in Pokemon when they made Mewtwo and they went, "What have I done?"
Yes.
On the subject of isekai, I'm going to kind of fire through some of these news articles. So we have got Rising of the Shield Hero. Season 3 is scheduled for October 2023. Again, huge fan of this series. Oh, I got that in the odd shape. Let me just do that quickly. There we go. Yeah, Rising of the Hero Season 3 scheduled for October 2023. I'm excited for this one. Yeah, great action. Love this.
Great world building. I think that Rising of the Shield Hero is a very strong isekai because its world building is so good, and it also kind of off the bat, it really turns the typical isekai story on its head.
Yes,
because immediately you think, oh well, this is going to be another story of someone who gets transported to the world. He's going to be a hero. Everyone loves him. Immediately thrown into a situation where actually no, he's reviled. He's considered a bad guy, a criminal, and he ends up resenting the world for it.
He does, yeah. It makes him really bitter. Love the series, love the characters, love the waifus, and the magic system in this. Very good. And the dub as well. Cannot forget how good the dub series is. Eminence in Shadow Season 2, another isekai, will air in 2023, which is exceptional news because the first series was amazing. One of my favorites.
True harem.
It's very true. But very true.
I'm watching you, Zane. I'm watching you.
A complete power fantasy series. Also, the fact that this MC has like the weirdest Batman arc I've ever seen. It's just fantastic. So yeah,
except he's got like 17 like cat
17 Robins. Jobless Reincarnation Season 2 premieres in July.
Boy, look at that drip.
I know. It's ridiculous, right? So yes, very excited to see this. It's weird how all of these are isekai, by the way. I just realized what I've done.
Summer is isekai time.
It is. Spy Family is getting a movie in December, which is very exciting.
Incredible.
Very
exciting. I love that for them. I love that. I can only imagine it's going to be hilarious.
Me too. A full feature length of this, and that's with both studios. Oh my gosh, it's going to be fantastic. Super fun. Tokyo Revengers Season 3 has been announced.
Good for you.
So Season 2 has not long finished. I need to catch up. I said this. So I started streaming on Twitch this week. So check it out, Zane. Twitch.tv/Zane Taicho. And I said this on my stream. I find it really odd trying to watch anime on Disney Plus is just kind of, I forget. And you think I'd kind of adjust by now with Bleach, but as soon as Bleach was over, that was it. Like I never really went back to watch anything else. But now Tokyo Revengers is on there. I keep forgetting to kind of go to Disney Plus to watch season 2.
I find watching anime on Disney Plus difficult.
Yeah.
Just because I like watching the sub, and while the quality of the streaming is great on Disney Plus, the subtitles are not great. Like, and this isn't about translation, or it's just that it feels
UI
like
experience.
it feels like the subtitles are a little bit slow compared to what's being said. So I found that a bit jarring.
I completely agree with you there. And the other thing I've noticed as well is when I put subtitles on for, say, for example, Bleach, but then I go to watch The Mandalorian, the subtitles are still on for the Mando. So then I turn them off. And then when I watch the following episode of Bleach, I have to turn them back on again because there's no subtitles. And it's just kind of like,
Yeah, it's a bit of a mess. I think that, like Bleach was their first proper journey into streaming something like anime, and I think that they're gonna have to take some learnings from that, because I would rather watch anime anywhere else but Disney Plus right now.
It's just that UI experience. Once they nail it, I think it will
make it like arguably Crunchyroll's interface just as bad, but I would prefer the devil that I know than the devil that I don't. Just give me a skip intro button, Crunchyroll. Give me a skip intro button, and all of that goes away.
Last bit of news. Hell's Paradise has started. This article says it starts tomorrow. We are ahead of time. It's already started. It's amazing. You got to check it out.
Very good. So
very,
good.
Very good.
Second episode already available. So get on it. Get on it now before it gets too many episodes and you feel intimidated, because it's a great story, great animation, and I'm excited to see how it is received, to be honest.
Great visuals.
So knowing any fandom, knowing any community, there's going to be a massive group of negatives, but that's with everything. You only hear the loud voices usually, don't you? So
absolutely. Should we talk about some JRPGs?
Yeah, this is going to be a longer one, I think.
I think so too. Yeah. So we off stream talked about 10 best JRPGs for beginners. Again, there's numerous articles about this, and I guess we're gonna probably pick some of these apart and kind of gauge thoughts and stuff. I'm using this one here from Screen Rant to get an idea. So kicking things off, I think this is a great shout, but Pokemon as a JRPG. If no one's ever played
it's baby's first JRPG.
It is exactly that, isn't it? Baby's first JRPG. I think it's a great starting off point. Has, arguably great sort of JRPG mechanics in terms of constantly searching for Pokemon, specific Pokemon as well as items, and the stories of a great caliber. And you don't need to play all of them to get up to date. You could just pick any one in the series as a jumping on point.
Arguably, Pokemon is great for beginners, for new and old players, because the stories are very low stakes. Like you said, you don't have to have played any of the other games to get involved in it, because they're all very self-contained by design. We are obviously talking about how before the show that like Pokemon, every single generation has its own gimmick these days.
Yeah.
And the reason for that is because they're obviously wanting to keep it self-contained. If if they brought over a gimmick from another game forward to another generation, then there's gonna have to be more like linking the generations, isn't there? And I think they're trying to avoid that.
Exactly. Yeah. It almost treated like every Pokemon game could be someone's first, and
Yeah.
I think that's a great mindset to have.
Yeah.
Here's one I thought I'd love to get your thoughts on, actually. So this one comes from Games Rant. So at number 11, they had The World That Ends With You.
The World Ends With You is an incredible Nintendo DS game. I had so much fun playing it. I think that with the gift of hindsight, looking back on it, I think that there's a lot about the combat that could have been done better, but for the DS, very good. The story is really engaging in a way that it's not clearly all laid out in front of you. In fact, you play through the whole story of The World Ends With You. You basically play through the story 3 times as the same main character, but with different companions.
Okay, I didn't realize that.
Yeah, and you eventually learn like the reason why you're there and stuff. It's very good. I really enjoyed the story. As a first RPG, as a beginner's RPG, I would probably disagree. In my opinion, I think it's I wouldn't consider it to be a first entry into JRPGs.
Is that because of the constant replay, or is that?
No, I think this is purely based on my own experience of it. I just kind of feel like when I picked it up, it wasn't an easy experience to get into. Like I feel like the combat is quite like if you go into it like then this might just come from the fact that I've obviously been playing JRPGs for longer than I played The World Ends With You. So I had an expectation already of like what JRPGs are. But I found that like going from the traditional JRPG combat and exploration that you had to go into The World Ends With You is very jarring. It's by no means to say that it's bad. It's just I don't think it's for me anyway. I don't think it was an easy transition, and I think that there's a lot about it that is kind of like, and they probably address this with The World Ends With You 2, which I've not played yet. But there's the way that the combat works is you use badges to get your powers, and I think that there's not a lot of explanation into the badges themselves and how they work and how they synergize, how weaknesses work. I think that there's a lot of skill jumps in it that you're kind of just like expected to learn.
Here's a hot question. Would you suggest Kingdom Hearts over this then? Would you recommend Kingdom Hearts for a new beginner compared to World's End With You?
Any day of the week. Kingdom Hearts, like say like okay, so I'm a massive Kingdom Hearts fan. Say what you will about it. Say what you will about some of the weaker titles. I don't care because it's like it's one of my favorite like game franchises. I've loved it since the beginning.
Yeah.
But even though Kingdom Hearts 1 isn't the best gameplay wise, and say it basically spoon feeds you everything you need to know.
Yeah.
You know, like there's obviously this like the stories are obviously very convoluted, especially as you go through the sequels. And and there's obviously a meme about the fact that like in order to actually play Kingdom Hearts, you have to like truly understand the story. You'd have to like do like years of like deep diving into the lore to actually understand why things are the way they are.
That's true. Yeah.
But I think that from a purely beginner point of view, honestly, Kingdom Hearts is great because it starts off as such a low, very simple story. It's light versus darkness. There isn't any gray area.
Mm.
Like, you are this kid who's had destiny thrust upon them.
Yeah.
And the whole fact that it's like Disney as well might be a turnoff for a lot of people. I think it's great. It's so fun and so like weird to see like characters like Goofy and Donald be these like integral parts of this really complex like fight against evil, to the point where you get to Kingdom Hearts 3 and you find out that just based on naming conventions and spells, you find out that like Donald is probably one of the most powerful mages in all of Final Fantasy, using a spell that is only like being used by like maybe one or two other people in the entire series. And I think one of them was an antagonist. So Zeta Flare is no joke.
It's no joke. It's OP for a reason.
And then you go into Kingdom Hearts 2 and you see Goofy dies. But then he's not. Like, I don't give up. If you don't come onto this show expecting that there might be spoilers about a game that's been around for 10 years or more, I'll fight you. If you don't want the spoilers, you come and fight me. I'll fight you.
He'll throw hands.
I'll pull out my replica keyblades from underneath my desk.
That's something I just got to mention. I went to a gaming convention this weekend, and I kind of went into it expecting there to be some anime themed stalls, and I think I sent you a bunch of videos of anime figures that were there and stuff. But the amount of swords and keyblades and like replicas that are being sold is just it's just crazy to me. Like, you've got Sasuke's sword from when he was being trained by Orochimaru. You've got an array of keyblades, and you've got an array of swords from Sword Art Online. Like, that seems to be the set everywhere. And Tengen's sword, I've noticed now, a lot of Demon Slayer themed swords as well.
Yeah, you're probably going to get everywhere. A lot of those, aren't you?
Yeah.
It's I think with the advent of how easy 3D printing has become.
Yeah.
It's obviously a lot easier, a lot more accessible for people to make a business out of selling these now. Whereas before, like, if you wanted to order like a replica sword, you'd have to go onto like a certain site and you'd have to wait weeks for it to be made, and you'd be paying out of your ass to get it. Whereas nowadays, you can literally just buy a replica off Amazon if you wanted to.
It's very true.
Remember the struggle to buy a decent looking forehead protector back in our school days?
My word, yes. Yeah. The hunt for anything that wasn't the Konoha headband was ridiculous back in the day. I'm interested to gauge your thoughts on this one in terms of a JRPG for beginner. Persona 5 Royal.
Yes and no. I think that generally Persona 5 does a really good job of leading the story. Like, if you just went into it and you just wanted to play it start to finish, I think probably like pretty good experience. But I think in order to get the best experience out of Persona 5, especially Persona 5 Royal, you've got to play it hard.
Okay.
And you have to play it, you have to get really good with time management. And that can be difficult for newcomers because like it's one of those situations where it's like there are some things that only happen like one day out of like the entire game. If you miss it, there's no way to repeat it other than playing the game. So I think that there's so much about, I think Persona games in general, there's just so much that is missable by not being having a full grasp of what the games are all about. Because like you've got like 15 plus like relationships to maintain. In order to get all those relationships to match, you've got to like kind of maximize your time in order to
Mm,
advance some of the relationships. You have to have your stats at a certain level. There's so much
yeah.
juggling. I don't personally see Persona generally as being super easy
Hmm.
for a beginner. I mean, story wise, it's another straightforward story, and I
Yeah.
think it's a great experience. So if you do pick it up as your first, absolutely. But I don't think that you can. And again, I'm saying this as someone who has a lot of experience playing these sorts of games, so my opinion is coloured by that. But I think
Hmm.
to get the best experience out of it, you have to go into it fully understanding every aspect of it. And I think you only get that after playing Persona 3, Persona 4, Persona 5, and both of their and their remakes.
Mm, yeah. I think just touching on the remakes, personally speaking, I think some of the original versions are better. I know we're big fans of the Persona 3 FES version compared to the portable uh, remake that we've had recently. Um,
Yeah.
I think that's a better experience for a player in
Yeah, and
comparison.
I know why that happened, because obviously they wanted to do a PSP port, and in order to do that they had to scale the game back, and obviously
Mm,
FES scaled the base game up. It added
yeah.
more into it, and I think that they needed to cut that back, which is a shame, because I think that obviously Persona 4 Golden and Persona
Hmm.
3 Portable have now been ported over to PlayStation 4 and Xbox.
Yeah.
And Persona 4 Golden, incredible game,
Yeah.
and it's just going to play the exact same on the console.
Hmm.
Um, Persona 3 Portable, even though you obviously get the opportunity to play as male and female main characters, so you get to experience two different versions of the story.
Yeah.
I feel like Persona 3 Portable was very lackluster compared to
Mm.
the original, even just the base game of Persona 3 on PlayStation 2.
Yeah, because I didn't realize this till, like you said, those ports came over to last gen consoles. But with the Persona 3 portable version, you don't get to go around to like the mall and all of the places that the
No,
the outside of the main quest elements. It just
it's all
fast
point
travels
and
you.
click. Yeah, it's all
Yeah,
point and click, and you get to the place, and then you'll get your interactions, but you don't actually get to run around in the world, and that was a big old turn off for me.
yeah.
Because I played the original Persona 3, and then I played Persona 3 FES, and you get to do all of the cool running around stuff. I say
It's when
cool, it's not super cool, but you get a bit more immersed in the world when you can explore. Yeah.
yeah, and you also get some of the better music as well. I found I love the music when you're traveling around places.
You should hear you should hear my Spotify playlists.
um, let's have a look. As I'm scrolling through this list, is there any that spring to mind for you?
For beginners specifically,
Mm,
I would say for beginners. So
mm,
this is two pronged. I would say Final Fantasy VII, but specifically the remake, I think is incredible for beginners,
hmm.
because you're taking. I mean, and obviously remake is a chapter by chapter sort of situation. It is going to be a number of parts to get the full story,
Hmm.
but I think that they basically cut out all of the best bits of the original game,
Yeah.
compiled it all into one, changed things up to make it a little bit more easy to follow,
Hmm.
and the gameplay system is a lot more engaging. So I think that a lot of people struggle. A lot of people these days probably struggle with um, old RPG just generally
Yeah.
mechanics, because they're a lot slower. They're not as like, if you were to play like any video game these days, it's so fast paced. To go to a turn by turn thing is a bit jarring, and it can be a bit boring
Mm,
for people. Um, so yeah, I'd say the remake definitely good for beginners. Final Fantasy VII itself,
yeah.
great story. It was
Hmm.
my first Final Fantasy.
Was it?
Um, it was my first venture into Final Fantasy. So for me, it was a great first experience. It really kindled my love for the whole franchise. But is it good for beginners? I think that my learning from this whole conversation is that it's there's a lot of a lot of personal preference involved. There's a lot of
Sure.
everyone's going
Yeah.
to be different. But I'd say personally, Final Fantasy VII itself, the original, I wouldn't consider it as amazing for beginners, but
I'm with you there. Yeah,
there
it's
we
it's
go.
a lot to kind of take in, I think, because my first was 8. And yeah, there's a lot of mechanics and things to kind of introduce you. I think with those older Final Fantasies as well, because they were text based, there's a lot of reading to kind of to grasp and such as well. So yeah, I think there's a lot more that you could miss maybe if you just kind of like, oh, I'm tired of reading and skip. But now I think with a lot more voice acting and such in these remakes and such, I think it is a lot more easier to kind of take in.
And with the Final Fantasy VII remake, like I said about it, obviously takes all the best bits and puts it right up front.
Mm.
There's a lot less risk of you missing something because it very much points at the thing that it wants you to see. It's
Yeah.
very much like, this is important. We're gonna make a whole point of it in this cutscene to show you exactly how important this is. Whereas in the like you said, it's so much like text, and obviously the graphically, Final Fantasy VII isn't. It was revolutionary for the time,
Mm-hmm.
but it's like you're basically a tiny sprite on this like very poorly rendered map, and it's like, okay, well, there's something there that to the more perceptible person who's played it before is going to be like, oh my god, I didn't notice that before. It's like
Yeah,
it was like right there all along, and it's like
100%.
yeah,
It's just there. I remember a similar thing happened when I discovered Diablos was in that lamp in Final Fantasy VIII. I was like, oh, it's like this massive boss fight happens out of nowhere. And you're like, I am caught off guard right here. Like, oh
I
my
was
god.
not prepared for this.
So yeah, I think Final Fantasies the remake's a good point. 100% a good jumping on point, I think.
Yeah,
Um I had a crazy thought because I've seen actually no, before I get to there, it's one that I've been itching to play, and I'm sure you're the same. Fire Emblem Three Houses. I know Fire Emblem has been a series that has just captured the world recently, especially with this particular one. Similar to Persona, I think it does a lot in terms of relationships and stuff. Like it introduces the concept of it's not just about leveling up your main character, but leveling up and having these relationships can be really fruitful going forward. What are your thoughts on that one?
I agree. Though what I have heard about Free Houses is
Mm,
that the combat's great, the interactions are great, but there's a lot of running around in between that doesn't feel good.
yeah,
I've heard,
yeah.
which could be a turnoff for a new player. But I
Mm,
think Fire Emblem just games in general are a great way, a great variation of a theme because obviously it's a more tactical game rather than like your
so true.
traditional like turn-based RPG. You're controlling an army rather than like 7 players,
Yeah.
player characters, you know. So and
So,
what I really like about Fire Emblem, and I've not played a Fire Emblem game in a while, is the fact
mm,
that if you lose a unit in battle, if someone dies in battle, they're gone, they're
yeah,
dead.
yeah.
So there's a lot of turning off and repeating the battle. If you want to get through the entire story not losing any of your favorites, you're gonna have to
Mm.
play through the same battles a couple of times.
Yeah, and kind of reevaluate your tactics and things. I think Yeah, which again, it kind of pushes you a little bit, doesn't it? Especially if you're fond of a particular character and stuff. I've heard it can be very long as well. Like you can end up sinking a lot of hours into Fire Emblem, especially Three Houses. So yeah, I think that's a good one. The other one I wanted to mention specifically is a bit of a wild card, but when looking at these lists, I noticed there was like the occasional Monster Hunter thrown in, which I think is a good point, and you'll probably add a little bit more texture to that. Being a big Monster Hunter player yourself, but to kind of flip it on reverse, I was going to mention God Eater, which has that same sort of formula, but more specifically because God Eater has an anime series and a manga series off the back of it as well. What are your thoughts on God Eater?
I couldn't get into God Eater, but when I played God Eater, I was playing on playing a PSP port on the Vita.
Mhm.
And I think that even though there are incredible PSP games that have been ported over, I feel
Mm,
like I just didn't mesh with it as well on
yeah,
handheld. I feel like if it had been like if I played it on console,
console.
I guess
Yeah.
like a TV console, I probably would have enjoyed it more. I just couldn't,
Mm,
and I think that maybe in line with what you were saying, I think because I am a big Monster Hunter fan,
yeah.
I think that there was a lot that I found lacking about God Eater.
Yeah.
Just because Monster Hunter's pretty got it down to a fine art.
Mm.
Like so,
Yeah, I totally agree with you because what I found is I've always struggled with the Monster Hunter franchise because it was just kind of understanding things like you have to cook to kind of get your health and stats back up, and there's a time scale to kind of defeat the monster as well as get the resources that you need and such. But I found with God Eater, it was very much kind of like baby's first introduction into the monster hunting franchise. Great story, great characters. I want to say, yeah, they kind of meshed in anime cutscenes as well as, you know, model cutscenes as well, which really kept me interested. So yeah, I think that was kind of like one of the reasons I fell in love with it as well. Um, God Eater Burst, the one that I've just shown on screen, that was the original PSP version that came here to the West. God Eater Resurrection is the version that came with God Eater 2 to PS4. So it's kind of like one of those weird things where you buy a copy of God Eater 2, but you get a free copy of the first God Eater game included.
yeah.
Because again, the ports that came to the West were kind of minimum. So yeah, that's been really cool. Yeah, that was one I thought was worth mentioning. My lover, God Eater.
God Eater as a concept, I love it. I love the story. I
Mm,
love the idea of the Aragami,
yeah.
which are the like antagonistic force of it,
Mm,
and the fact that it's not even so much that they're like aliens or anything like that. It is literally this. The Aragami is like started off as like a single cell thing, but
yeah.
its unique characteristic is it cannibalizes anything.
Yeah.
So it just continued to do that and got bigger and bigger until the point where they're these like giant monsters that are literally consuming all life on Earth. Like
Mm.
that's pretty rad as a post-apocalyptic concept. So
It's pretty cool. Yeah. Apparently, there was a lot of debating about the title as well because the title using God Eater to the West was kind of like I don't know if we could use that like sort of scenario. So yeah, there's lots of interesting things about just porting or selling it to the West. Like I said, alongside a manga and anime series. So it's worth
honestly,
checking out, I think.
eating gods, eating the rich. I'll do it all. Come on.
Go full Eren Yeager when it came to this game.
Tell you what,
Mm,
I've got a great. This is my final thing for
Yeah.
beginners. I got a great JRPG here for you. Might not come as a surprise to you, but who knows?
Okay.
Who knows? Have you heard of a little indie game called Final Fantasy XIV that is free to play up until the until the end of the Heavensward expansion, and also currently you can obtain Stormblood for free if you download it now.
I didn't know about the Stormblood part.
It's currently free to download for a couple more days. So I'm not sponsored by Square Enix to be posting this, but I'd say some might look at Final Fantasy XIV and think it's an MMO, it's really intimidating, and they might be right. But I think that generally speaking, as an environment to play it, if you're looking for something to sink your teeth into, and you want a slightly different RPG experience, give Final Fantasy XIV a go. They're doing a lot they've done a lot to streamline the original game to make it better for new players. Despite what some people might say about its community, of all the communities I'm a part of in gaming, Final Fantasy XIV community, great for beginners. People are really helpful. It's a great experience, and you might try it and not like it. You might try it and you might love it. But give it a go. I think it's a great induction into JRPGs.
Yeah, 100%. I think it does a lot in terms of not only, I guess it's kind of a staple of an MMO, but the whole idea of investing time into crafting, investing time to understand the marketplace, to sell items and stuff. I think it is an experience worth checking out. Like,
you get what you put into it. It's definitely one of those things. And if you I would be lying if I told you I was playing as much as I did like 5 years ago. Like before, I was playing hours every single day. Now it's not so much. Maybe I'll log on once a week, but it's always very easy to kind of pick back up. They've put a lot in place to make it easier to play as a casual. You don't have to know life it in order to enjoy it. And even if you just play it just to play through the story just gets progressively better.
Yeah, 100% agree there. I guess that's our list. Let us know what you thought. Did we miss any obvious ones? Let us know in the comments down below. Of course, make sure to like, share, and subscribe. Give us a star rating if you listen to this on your favorite podcast platform. It helps us out in a big bad way. Susu Day, anything else to end on?
Like I said, I was not paid by Square Enix to say any of that lovely stuff about Final Fantasy XIV, but Square Enix, if you'd like to sponsor us, please do. I would happily do that for you. So, anyway, enjoy Easter, guys. I don't know what people will be doing for it, but it's back to normality tomorrow. Enjoy this holiday granted by the zombie Jesus.
Yes, do enjoy, and make sure to check out all of our social medias. All the relevant links will be in the description down below. If you want to join me on Twitch, again, the link will be in the description, twitch.tv/Zane Taicho.
I just subscribed.
Thank you so much.
Well, I followed. I haven't subscribed. I followed you though.
Yeah, it's still in its infancy.
I'll get notifications when you go live, so I can at least put you on in the background.
Thank you. My first stream, we went through the anime last season, and we kind of put a score next to them and stuff, so that was kind of fun. Because I was using this brand new microphone, I think it was a little quiet, so I'll be tinkering with the audio going forward. But hey ho, first time experiences.
Demon Slayer.
There we go. Fantastic. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching, and we shall catch you in the next one. Peace.
Until then.